the reason why I always talk about like using a block or a pillow or blankets or anything like that is it allows your knees to be a little bit lower than your pelvis. And what that does is it gives a little bit more weight into your feet or the tops of your feet, and then allows your pelvic to kind of rotate. And that allows your spine to be a lot straighter, elongated. And, when we breathe, you can actually start feeling the release, even though we still have gravity. So when you want to do that, you may want to place your hands gently on top of your thighs. Check your shoulders. See if you want, you can always roll it up, and as you exhale, roll it down and back. Allow those little angel wings to kind of squeeze behind you. If you prefer, you can close your eyes, or if you don't, you can keep your eyes open. I'd like for you to just connect with your breath. So as you breathe here, just fully inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose. Just feeling like a little bit of heat that gets to be released. Inhale through your nose. You can feel your belly rising. And as you exhale, check your jaw, check your tongue to see if it's nice and relaxed. Feel free to move it if it does feel a little tense. Continue your breathing. Full inhale. Exhale. Continue breathing here. I'm going to share this one verse. Today is actually Be Humble Day, and I thought it was pretty appropriate when I was thinking on Friday what to do for tonight, being Monday. And once I found this verse, and then finding out that Pastor Josh actually used the exact same verse on Sunday, I thought that was God speaking. So, though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being. When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on a cross. So as you continue breathing here, just thinking of how Jesus truly loved us so much. God loved us so much that Jesus took upon himself not just a human form, but a human form so that he would be crucified. He would actually die as a criminal. What can we learn from that? Instead of us feeling bad about it, we should be thankful and grateful. So as you continue breathing, allow that breath to completely fill you. Allow it to fill into your chest, the heart, your lungs, even your diaphragm, your belly rise. And as you exhale, feel as if you're just allowing the gratitude to kind of spread out throughout your body. You may want to set your own intention out of today's practice or your time with God. When you're ready, if you have your eyes closed, you can keep it open. We're going to place our hands together at heart center. So in this case, I want us to do a couple little motion with our breath. So with yoga, it's matching with our breath. And so what we're going to do here is when we inhale our hands together, inhale here. As we exhale, we're going to slightly interlace our fingers so it kind of like shifts over a little bit. Exhale as we push it forward and we kind of arch our back behind us. Kind of like the way we do cat. As we inhale, bring your arms all the way up toward the heaven. And then as we exhale, we can kind of release, but let it match your breath. Exhale. Just Scooping your hands together back to your prayer hands. Inhale here. Same thing. Exhale. Bring your palms forward, fingers interlace, your back goes behind you. Inhale, arms all the way up, your head goes up toward heaven. Exhale, release. Your arms come down, swooping slightly forward, again with your inhale. So you notice the motion. So we're doing the inhale, exhale this way, inhale, exhale. So go to your own breath count. Everyone's breath is going to be different. We're uniquely created, and yet God breathed life into us. So go to your own. If it's distracting, you can keep your eyes closed. If not, you keep it open. Just in thinking in terms of humble yourself, therefore under God's mighty hand, that you may lift up in due time. And if you notice when you do your interlace your fingers, try to shift it the other way around, because there is one side that we tend to gravitate toward. Shift it the opposite way. You're going to feel how it kind of feels a little different when you raise your arms up in front above you. And then even when you press your hands forward and you're arching back behind you, see if you can focus on a different area of your back. So we may be arching your thoracic spine a little bit more, so perhaps you might want to focus on your mid-back. So again, maybe being on a block of some sort, elevating your body actually makes it a little bit easier. You're probably feeling yourself getting warm, even though we're just breathing and matching your flow. Just 2 more breath counts. Do your whole sequence. Beautiful. You may have your hands back at heart center. But just think about that. You had your hands at prayer pose in front, and almost as if we're bowing down, bringing extended our prayer to God, and then underneath His mighty hands, then scooping it down. So that was the purpose behind that one. Beautiful. Let's get onto our hands and knees. We're really starting to get more engaged. Your knees are going to be directly underneath your hips, hip width apart. Your hands, your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders, shoulder width apart. We've pretty much done your cat-cows, but just to allow yourself to get a little bit of the cow pose, so as you inhale, you're going to allow your stomach to come toward earth. Maybe bring your gaze up. Perhaps your shoulder blades coming toward each other. And as you exhale, you're going back into that cat pose. So we've already done that piece to it. So see what area, your range of motion, that you may actually have your spinal fluids getting a lot of the synovial fluids moving. If this bothers your wrist, you can always go into fists. You can always drop down into your forearm. Or you can always kind of like roll up your mat. And what this does, or put a blanket there, when you roll up your mat, you may want to place your wrist on the mat, the rolled up mat, and then your fingers are on a little bit lower, and what you're going to feel is kind of put a little bit more up toward your fingers then. So that's some options. So just do a couple cat-cows. And one of the things is, as we get ready, part about being humble is a lot of times we try to be independent. We rely on ourselves, and the strength that we have from God is incredible. But even though we are working strength, I'd like for you to be mindful of this. So your knees are going to still be stacked, placed underneath your hips, but we're going to actually lower our chest downward by engaging our arm muscles in our back. So for us to be upright, clothe ourselves in righteousness, being able to stand right, being able to sit straight up is going to be really important. So your hands are directly underneath your shoulders. You might want to even move it up ahead of you just a little bit if that allows your shoulders to bend later on. Index fingers straight forward. And what's going to happen is when you bend your elbows, make sure your elbow creases are still facing forward. You don't want your elbows to flare outward. They're going to bend behind you, kind of going parallel to your rib cage. So what we're going to do is almost like doing push-ups, but we're on our knees. If you really want to, you can go into total plank pose and then do your push-ups, but I'm not going to do that. So this is supposed to be gentle yoga. So what I'd like for you to do is just kind of bend yourself down and press up, down, and press up. Don't go beyond the 90-degree angle of your elbow. So you're press yourself down, but you're going to feel your muscles starting to really work itself. So you can go mini amount. That's completely fine. And if you notice, even going a little mini amount, really engaging on the different muscles. But most importantly, breathe. Exhale down, bending your elbows. Inhale back up. Up. So you can do 8 of those. And if not, you can always rest. And let's tuck your toes and then just kind of sit back. So you can either go into a child's pose, or if you want to go into kneeling, and your arms can probably feel it like, oh, relax your arms. You guys are going to feel in your biceps and probably even feel it along your shoulders. So just relax it. Rotate your wrist. And this time, place your hands in front. Just grab your other, your right fingers point out toward heaven, and use your left hand, just kind of pull it towards you slightly, and then bend it down. So we're kind of going the opposite direction of what it was doing. If you like, you can even like now just pull your thumb straight down, and then go to the index finger and pull that one straight down, and then pull the middle finger down. I guess they call it tall finger, and then pull the ring finger down and the pinky finger down, and relax. Sweep out that right arm. If your toes that are tucked is feeling comfortable, you can always sit down completely. Do the same thing. The left finger straight up toward heaven. Press it towards you, and then now bend it so that your palm is facing towards you. Just gentle pull. It should feel like a nice release. You can feel it right above. And then now we're doing the same thing. Just pull the thumb straight down, and then the index finger straight down. The middle finger straight down. Ring finger straight down. Pinky finger straight down, and then kind of shake it. All right. So your arms are probably feeling pretty engaged. Your toes are now released. So back onto hands and knees. Let me rotate toward the side to you. So I'm going to be slightly at an angle. So hands and knees in front. So at this time, we're going to inhale your right leg straight back. Flex that right foot. See if you can get it nice and level. Gaze is toward the floor. And this time you may want to bend that right knee We're going to slightly pulse it up just 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then rotate that right hip so that your right knee is going to the side. And you're going to straighten that right leg and drop it down. So we're going to go into what's called Heaven's Gate. So we're going to walk our hands close to ourselves. And so your left knee is going to be directly underneath your hip. So I'm going to rotate now facing you. Left knee is directly underneath your left hip. Your right leg is straight to the side, so your toes are straight. And your left knee is almost like where the instep is of your right leg, okay? So if this feels not comfortable for your left knee, you put some extra padding there. Check to see if your hips, everyone looks pretty good. Your right hips and left hip are even with each other. Inhale your arms all the way up. Exhale to your right, your extended leg. Maybe you might want to place your fingers above or below the knees, not on the knees. Breathe here. You can feel that nice lateral stretch. If you like, you can slightly tuck your tailbone under. You can feel a little bit engaged. It kind of like squeeze gluteus maximus, especially on your left side. You can feel that engaged. Inhale back up, both arms. Exhale your left hands directly underneath your left shoulder. So right arm's up. Options, you can stay here. You can always bring your arms over there. You're just going to get a stretch there if you want. But if you want this a little bit more strengthening, options here. You can lift that right leg up, and then you can bring it down and back up. So you have the choice, yogi's choice. If you want this to be more strengthening, lift it up, engage that heel outward, and you can feel it along your glutes. Beautiful. Let's bring our right arm in front. We're going to walk both hands crisscross over toward the other side. Bring your right knee underneath your left, right underneath your right shoulder. Just do 2 cat-cows. Just kind of release everything. And this time you're going to extend your left leg. So I'm going to go a little bit at an angle. Left leg straight back. Bend that left knee so that the sole of your left foot's up toward heaven. We're going to pulse it 3 times, not 3 times, right? Rotate your hips, your knees to the side, extend your left leg. We're going back into that Heaven's Gate. Let me move sideways. So check your positioning. Your right knee is directly underneath your right hips. Your left leg is straight, left foot extended. You're in alignment with each other. All right. See, maybe now slight little tuck under. Feel that tuck, and then you feel a little bit more engagement there. Inhale your arms all the way up toward heaven. Exhale your left hand toward your left leg, not on the knee area, but either above or below. Extend it over. You can feel that nice stretch. Breathe. Your breath is going to allow that stretching. And isn't that true? That transformation that we have with the breath, God places us in different situations, sometimes guiding us in paths. If we're in connection, exhale back. Inhale both hands back up. Exhale your right hand back below your right shoulder. And again, you have the choice. You can stay here and get the opposite stretch, or if you want this a little bit more engagement, you can lift your left leg up. Left leg up. Feel what happens when you flex that foot so that heel's coming straight out, and you have the option to lift it up and down. So that's just going to engage a little bit more on the side of your glutes. It's important for you to breathe, though, if you are doing that. And with that, we're going to bring our left hand down in front of us, and then crisscross our hands over in front, and then bring both knees next to each other. We're going to push ourselves back, our hips to our heels, into that child's pose. So if you did do the gluteus maximus piece to it, this will feel extra good. If you like, you can always have you can always put a blanket or something like that between your thighs and your calves. That might make it a little bit more accessible to your knees. You can always have your knees spread out wide and place maybe a block or a bolster or a blanket in between. If you allow your forehead to touch toward the ground, and when I say toward the floor, you can always put a prop to raise the floor up. Humbling ourselves in gratitude. We'll slowly lift our body upward. We're going to walk our hands to full hand forward. And we're going to slowly lower ourselves down. Release your feet behind you. Have the top of your feet pressing into the ground. And when you do that, you can feel your gluteus kind of engaging slightly. This time your hands are directly underneath your shoulders. You're going to press up gently, kind of like in a baby cobra. Just to a not full range. Exhale it back down. If you press yourself back up into a little baby cobra. Exhale it back down. Okay, so this time place both hands in front of your forehead, so it's going to be like a little pillow. Have your forehead touching on top of that. Press your top of your feet into the floor. As you inhale here, see if you can lift your head and your hands up. So really not use your hands to lift your head up, just lift your head up off the ground. Kind of like a baby cobra. Breathe. Back down. If you want, you can now do it again, and this time lift your feet up off the ground. Breathe. Exhale back down. And you know the third time's the charm, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So one more time, both up. Possibly, you have the choice, you don't have to. Make sure the elbows are also level. And come back down. Just relax it. Allow your heels to roll outward from each other. Allow the forehead to be resting gently on top of the fingers. And just breathe and just really feel what your body is saying to you, or what God may be saying to you. This time you're going to place your left hand straight out from your left shoulder, straight arm. Your left ear is going to rest gently on your mat or the floor. Using your right hand, you make a little tent with your fingers on the kind of like where you're underneath your right elbow. If you were to make a 90-degree angle, we're going to do what I call the winged chicken wing. So be mindful. You're not going to go real far. If you're ready, you can kind of press against your right fingers, roll over to your left side. So you just get a little stretch along that left arm. Options to do with your feet, your upper leg, your right leg. You can always bend that right knee, place that right foot behind your extended left leg. It should feel good. You should feel a stretch along your left arm, but if you ever feel any sharp shooting pain or numbness, that's your body's way of saying there is something that might be pinched, so please back out of it. It's so important to listen to your own body. Come back to center. Bend your left hand. You're going to extend your right arm out. This time you're going to bring your right ear toward the floor, your mat. And you slowly start rolling over toward your right hip. Same thing. So you have the option what you want to do with your leg. You can just have them stacked, or if you like, you can always bend your left knee, placing the left foot behind your extended right leg. Your extended arm, the palm should be on the floor. Don't go too far, too deep. Feel the breath here. And then when you're ready, come back to center. Forehead on the floor, hands directly underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes, press yourself back up into a tabletop. We're going to cross our ankles. We're going to get onto our bottoms. So this time, as we are sitting in our 90-degree angle, I'd like for you to flex your foot so that your heels are pressing against an invisible wall. Now, if you notice that you're still tight along the hamstring, one of the things you might want to do is take a couple pillows or blankets or anything and kind of sit on top of those. It's always a good thing to do. You can always have your knees bent a little bit. This time we're going to kind of fold forward. So we're going to fold forward, not round in the back. Just bring your heart forward. Just feel where there's resistance. That's completely fine. Isn't that normal? We usually resist things that God might be asking us to do because we're thinking, oh, you got to be kidding. People are going to think we're crazy, or I don't have the skill or the experience or whatever. But when we actually surrender, when we actually trust God, it's amazing what's possible. So as you continue to be in this position, what can you actually surrender? Maybe place your hands, palms facing upward, place on top of could be your thighs or right below your knee. Biggest challenge that we face is a lot of times is patience. We expect things to be quicker or done at a certain time. We may try to compare ourselves to other people or even to ourselves. And in many ways, it's this being humble, not thinking that we're better than anyone else or that they're better than us. God knows each and every one of us. Even as you continue to fold forward, you may notice that there might be some tension in your jaw. Can you relax it? Can you just completely trust the process? Can you trust in what your body can do? It's only a temporary vessel for us. You are more than welcome to hold on to your calf or your thighs or your heels, whatever, it doesn't matter. And not pulling yourself down. See what else you can relax. And slowly walk your hands closer and closer to your bodies. As you start coming up, your head's going to be less going to come up. This time, I'd like for you to place your hands directly underneath your shoulders behind you. It doesn't matter if your fingers are pointed toward your hips or away from you, but make sure they're at shoulder width apart. You can still see the toes in front of you. Point your toes away from you. And as you point it away from you, lift your hips up off the ground. If this does not feel good for your wrist, you can always go down to your forearm. And make sure you don't release your head back. You want your head to still be in alignment with your spine. You're going to feel some shaking, parts of the transformation. Isn't that true? A lot of times when we're doing things, we may be a little bit shaky in terms of what is expected from us. Even when we don't understand it, this is where walking in faith is, trusting God. Slowly lower yourself back down. We're going to bring your right knee in, so hug your right knee. Your left leg is still extended. If you want, you can kind of shift it so if your sits bones feel like it came out of location. Hug your right knee. And now gently place your right foot across your left leg. So it's going to be on the outside, the left side of your left leg. And just do a nice little gentle twist. So you can either place your right hand, extend it all the way behind you, place it right behind, well, not right behind your right hip, but behind your back. And then I'm going to ask you to not force yourself. So your right hand's going to be behind you, but you want to see if your spine's going to be nice, still upright. So we talk about clothing ourselves in righteousness. Can you still be upright? Crown of your head, all you princesses out there, crowns still up to heaven. You can always place your knuckle of your left elbow on top of that right knee. For some people, they like to extend it and have their left arm straight and then press against the bent knee. But if you do that, try to make sure that you're not forcing to use. Sometimes we don't realize that we use that and leverage it and try to like force yourself to twist. Allow yourself to breathe. As you're exhaling, your navel comes to spine. Perhaps your spine may want to twist a little bit more, so you can bring your gaze over the right shoulder. You don't get any extra bonus points from looking all the way around, so we're just allowing some of the spinal fluids, the disc, that gel to squeeze. Breathe. And then slowly release. Both hands come over toward your left side. Just drop it onto the floor and just kind of bend both elbows. Dip down. And dip 3 times. Right, let's straighten our right leg, bend your left knee in. Let's give your left knee a hug. This time you're going to place that left foot over on the outside of your right knee. Same thing. If by chance you feel like, you know what, I'm not really on my sit bone, place some blanket or something underneath your bottom. And then this time, extend your left arm out, place it behind you. Same choice with your right arm. You can either have the right elbow crease, right, holding onto your left knee, or you can straighten that right arm and have it on the outside of your left knee. So most importantly is your spine nice and straight. If it's not straight, just sit. You can use your left hand, and if you feel like you're not reaching the floor to help kind of get you upright, place a block or a pillow or a cushion or some sort to help you stay straight. So that's more important. And as you bring your navel to your spine with your exhalation, you may be able to feel your spinal twist a little bit more accessible to you. But again, remember, the goal is not to look all the way back. You're just allowing your spine to get the different motion. Excellent. Slowly release, bringing both hands over toward your right side, planting your hands down. If you want to do 3 dips, bowing down. It's accessible to you. All right. Now we're going to get down onto the floor. So a couple of things. I'm going to give you a little bit of prep in terms of what we're going to do. We're going to end up doing some bridge pose flow. Okay. So whenever we're in any type of bridge pose or any type of shoulder stance, it's important for you not to turn your head to the side. So I want you to know that this is where we're lying our back. You're going to slightly tuck your chin down. Your gaze is going to look toward the sky always. Always important for us to keep our eyes heavenward, right? So come on down. Your knees are bent. The feet should be at hip width apart. Your hands could be down by your side. Make sure their shoulder blades are still tucked underneath, so you don't want them rolling forward or anything like that. So gaze is up. We're going to slightly tuck your tailbone so that your lower back makes contact with the floor. And when that happens, you're going to lift your hips up toward the sky. Knees slightly come out away from you, I should say, not out to the side, but away from you, toward the front. Breathe here, and as you exhale, slowly come back down. So allow each of your vertebrae to articulate. It's kind of like it's making contact to the ground. You exhale, feel each one coming down, and as you inhale, feel yourself lifting back up. So again, go to your own breath count. So you might be going nice and slow. We're going to do that 3 full time. I want you to take notice of what your gluteus maximus is feeling, maybe even your quads. Now, once you're back down, another option, you're going to do Baddha Konasana with the soles of your feet touching each other. Don't have it too close, so your heel's not going to be real close by, a little bit further. So you can stay here in Baddha Konasana, so the soles of your feet touching each other. And an option, same thing, you can almost do bridge pose with it. So again, be mindful. So you're going to feel this total difference of muscles being used. So you're not going to go up very high, but you're going to feel a lot more tightening along your psoas and also your lower back and your glutes and the inner thighs. So remember, it's not going up real high, but you are lifting up. Continue breathing. And then when your bottom makes contact to your mat, you can actually release completely, feel your legs, your knees kind of go a little bit closer to the floor. And then when you re-engage, you're really going through the full motion there. All right, let's bring your knees toward each other. Bring your right knee toward your chest. Hug it here. Extend your left leg straight. Flex that left foot. Flex your right foot. Feel a little bit more of a stretch in the front, which is really good. This time, I would like for you to bend that left foot so that, bend your left knee so that your left foot's on the floor. You straighten your right leg. You may either use your hand to grab onto your thigh, or if you want up to your calf, it doesn't matter. But see if you can get that right leg straight. So if your nose for it to be straight, it needs to be further down, so be it. That's completely fine. You can just hold on to your pant leg or anything like that. If you need to, you can always use a strap. And we're going to just gently draw some circles. To draw circles with your entire foot, not just your toes or your heels, your entire foot. Go the opposite direction. Still that right knee is straight. Now, if it feels like it's pretty easy, I'd like to challenge you to see if you can straighten that left leg and do the same thing. You may notice that when you straighten your left leg, your right knee started to bend, so maybe it has to go a little bit lower. So a little bit steeper angle, which means now you're required to use your core. So same thing, draw some circles, go in the opposite direction. Keep breathing or hold your breath. Bend your right knee, bend your left knee, hug your knees to your chest, rock a little bit side to side. Because when you drew those circles, you probably feel a little engagement in your core. Now you're going to drop your right foot down. Extend that left leg up. See if that left knee could be straight. So same thing here. So right now your right knee is bent. Your right foot is on the floor. This makes it a little bit easier. You can do those circles. Draw those circles with whatever direction. So right now, for me, I happen to be going counterclockwise. Just remember what you're doing. And go in the opposite direction. And you may notice while you're doing this, you feel the muscles kind of stretching, so they're kind of loosening. So you may notice like, oh, I can get my circle a little bit bigger, and or my legs getting closer to my body. And when I say closer, I'm only getting closer to 90 degrees. It's not coming close to me at all. Now, once you feel like it's getting nice and loose, you have that challenge. You can always extend that right leg. Oh, sure enough, right leg goes straight and my left leg immediately goes down. So that's okay. And draw those circles again. Anyone else noticing that their pinky toe does something strange when sticking straight out? And then go in the opposite direction. Beautiful. Bend both knees, hug both knees to your chest. Now place your knees so they're at 90 degrees. And then your hips and thighs are at 90 degrees. So you're kind of like in a reverse tabletop. Send both arms out to a T. You can have your knees actually touching each other. and slowly lower, but we're not going all the way. You're just gonna bring both knees over to the right slightly. Stop, freeze, breathe. Bring it back to center. Exhale it to the left side. Only a couple angles, degrees. Hold it, stop, freeze, breathe here. Relax those jaws. Bring it back to center. This time we're going a little bit more to the right. Both knees over to the right. Maybe a little bit more of a degree. Close to maybe 45 degrees from the ground. Back to center. I'm going to go over to the left side. Keep breathing. Stop at that 45-degree angle. All the way back to center. Now, if you have the block, you can always place the block. If you want to, you can either have both blocks stacked on top, place your knees on top of that, or again, depending on your level, where do you want your knees to go all the way down to the floor? So this is where props are wonderful to use to raise the floor up. Breathe here. This beautiful first spinal twist. Now you're going to have to engage your core, but to make sure that we're being gentle to us, allow your left leg, your top knee to go up towards center first, and then your bottom leg to go up. So that way you're a little bit more gentle. Now that the knees are stacked toward each other, close, we're going to, and if you need to, you can always shift your blocks or your props over to the left side as we slowly allow our both knees go down toward the left side. So please be sure to use whatever modifications or props that you prefer. You can always use pillows, blankets, bolsters. If your right shoulder does not make contact with the floor, that's completely fine. Sometimes we deliberately try to keep our shoulders on the ground, but if it's not, there's no reason to force your whole spine to be twisted. But you may notice that we really did work a lot of areas, so that might be more open than usual. And as you're resting here, see if you can relax the different muscles. Okay, again, you're going to engage your core, but to be gentle to us. So important for us to show patience and also love to others, but also for ourselves. We're going to bring your upper leg, so your right knee, your right leg up towards center first, and then allow the left one to meet your right. Beautiful. Extend both feet up toward the ceiling. Flex your feet. Are we showing our souls to heaven, right? And then bend our knees down here. So we're going to get ready for one of our other restorative poses. So if you want, you can roll all the way to your side and put yourself up. This is where you're going to need 2 blocks or the equivalents of blocks of some sort. We're going to go into a fish pose. You can always use blankets. You can always use pillows. So to make it a little bit more easier, accessible to your low back, you're going to place the one block underneath your shoulders. So it's going to be straight across. If you like it a little bit wider so it's not so intense, I would say either go to your lower level or the second to lower level. So everyone's a little bit different. So You can choose, some people like the upper level, but I think that's too intense. So be very mindful for what your own body wants. So you can place that down there on the shoulders, underneath your shoulder blade area, kind of like where the bra strap would normally be. And then for your head, some people like it at the high level. Personally, for me, I like to have a matching. So find out what feels best for you. So as you lower yourself down. I'm going to actually have mine on the lower side to make it a little bit more stable on my back. So this is going to be a little bit more of a chest opener. A couple options that you have. You can have, once you have your chest open, your shoulders or your back, I should say, on top of that one block, your head is on the other block. You can choose. Sometimes, a lot of times people like it higher. If you want to have it more open up more, you can actually have it lower. Some people can even release the block completely. I feel like it's a little too intense for my cervical spine. You can always have your legs straight out to the side, almost like in Shavasana, extended. Or if you want, you can always do this in Baddha Konasana, the cowgirl pose, with the soles of your feet toward each other, and then allow your hip flexors to kind of stretch as well. So you have the choice. From a restorative standpoint, even if you do decide to do the Baddha Konasana ones with the bound angle with the soles of your feet with each other, to make it a little bit more restorative, you can always place some blankets or towels or something to kind of make contact to those knees. To have that external rotation of your shoulders, have your palms facing upward. You may want to even close your eyes. As you're resting here, you may want to reflect back on some of the different verses we were able to share. Meditate on His Word, or more importantly, what God wants you to know, this time and place. If you like, you can stay here in your Shavasana, or if you like to go into traditional Shavasana and just carefully remove your props and then get into your traditional Shavasana. Bring some awareness back into your body. You may want to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rotate your ankles and your wrist. Inhale your arms over your head. As you exhale, bend your knees. Keeping your eyes closed, you may want to roll over to your right side. Using your upper arms, press yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Keep your hands on your thighs, but palms facing heavenly. One of the verses that really spoke out to me this past week was, "Until now you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, and your joy will be complete." Is there anything that you may truly want God to know? Pray for it, ask Him. Many times we try to do things on our own. He loves us so much. Christ came down, humbled himself for us. And we can clothe ourselves into that. To be completely humble and gentle and patient, bearing with one another with love. Let's deeply inhale through your nose. Complete exhale through your mouth. Once again, inhale here. Exhale. Full inhale. Complete exhale. Floating your hands together in prayer pose. Palm touching palm, thumb resting right above your heart. Tuck your chin down toward your heart. Dear Father God, I just want to thank you so much for sending us your son, who humbled himself, came as a human, died as a criminal, to give us the ability to be clothed in righteousness, be filled with joy and peace. Thank you so much. In your son Jesus' name, amen. Namaste.